All right, continuing with our shape exercise. I have the end product that I am trying to simplify towards up in the corner here, open in preview. So that's the painting I am inspired by. Because as we build a lot of shapes, especially as we cover everything up with our own shapes, as you see here, you start to forget what new information is necessary. So one way to overcome that is to move your out of focus version of the original up to the top, and then to blend it in using multiply mode to see where new shapes might be required. And the shapes I think that are important, definitely this shape here of the tiger. So I can go ahead and put that in. And I can decide where does that best fit between which layers. And if you're having trouble finding your layers, like I definitely want it behind this black wedge or dark brown wedge, I can use my move tool and turn on auto select layer. And then if I turn off my overlay layer, I can click on the different shapes and it will move me right to them, which is very helpful. I can also see that the red overlaps the shirt in both the final but not in mine yet. So I might want to simply use this opportunity to select certain layers and then move them up and over. And that maybe that's more accurate. And I can check that with that multiply mode. So far so good. I'm going to need a little pink elbow shape here. I'm going to need the orange kind of hair shape there. And then maybe I'll do something for this, but I don't need much. And then maybe I want like a soft pink there on the shirt. So I'm almost there. Got the big compositional elements taken care of. Keeping it as simple as possible. So if I go behind the pants, I first select that layer and I see, okay, well I want to then start it underneath that. And then use my shape tools. And then I can turn this layer back on, but it's not selected. And so I'm still going to build on top of this layer. And when I draw my ellipse here, I kind of know what area it should fill. Then I'm going to use Command T to transform it. I'm going to stretch it behind everything, make it a little narrower, rotate it. And then how do I get that soft bend in it? Well, I can do that by right-clicking within the transform box and using something like warp to make it into more of a customized shape. This is what in animation is called a bean shape. It's very helpful in animation because it moves the eye directly with the movement. Most of Disney's animation is based on just beans all fit together. Then I hit return. Now the only problem with having that multiply layer above everything is it distorts the color, right? And that's why I can look up here and say, yeah, that looks about right. But while I'm at it, I realize, that's a lighter color in there. So maybe I immediately do that. And I change that color to something lighter. Not that light. Let's see, why did it do that? So the way you can change the color of your ellipses is to simply double click on that ellipse window, and then it takes you right to a color selector. And you're able to select within the image as well. I'm not sure why it's not selecting that. Maybe I have that layer locked by accident. But I can also mix the color I want using these color sliders. A little bit warmer, a little bit pinker. Yeah, about there.
Thank you.
All right, now to get that to kind of shape with the other shape, Command T to transform it. You see how it's going under the head? That's perfect. And I want to bend it around, so I might rotate it slightly. And right-click within the transform box and start warping it. So much of what we learn in this class, we learn through repetition. Just doing it over and over again. Now this is a great example of kind of a finishing, a shape that could use a certain type of finish. It's a little different. And I don't need to do this. I could kind of keep it maybe right there. And that works for the underbelly. But a way to finish this off might be to add a gradation to it. Or maybe a slight glow on the outer edge. You see that? It's not a cut edge there, it's a gradated edge. And to do that, I select the shape I just made, and then I double click on it. And then you get what are called layer styles. And you can apply these to any layer, whether it's raster or vector, but they're incredibly useful with vectors, especially when you're dealing with type or other design features. And you have so many options, but the one I'm going to use, which is just very subtle, is the outer glow. And you can see it already is doing something. Then you click on it and you can get options for it. And I'm going to make its size a little bit bigger. And I'm going to change its color from being so yellow to being more orangish, like that. So it transitions between the two. I can even switch it to being a little bit reddish orange. But I still want it kind of light. Yeah, so in there. And I can play with these different features until it softens the shape in the way I want. I can play with its size and its spread. You know how strong it is. That looks nice. And even how opaque it is, or transparent. So that's just a very subtle transition that I'm putting in with a layer style by double clicking on that shape layer. It's still a vector layer. It just has these effects that you can turn on and off. And now with that effect, I might decide to extend the shape a little bit more, and that effect will move with me. So if I warp it some more, you see how then that effect builds. Or if I shrink it here a little bit and let the effect do more of the work, I can then make it bigger, make it more opaque, let it transition more. Between the two. But again, we don't want to overdo it. I'm going to keep it really simple. Some nice navigational shortcuts. I almost have the whole image on my screen, but if I want to make sure I do, I hit Command 0, and it will put it from top to bottom on my screen, which is very helpful to see if you're leaving anything out. Okay, I go back up to multiply, and I see what other shapes I need, and let's just put those in. I'm going to work kind of quickly now. I'm going to put the elbow in underneath the head and ear. And I'll use that multiply to kind of show me where they should go. And again, there's a difference between selecting layers and just turning them off and on. So I'm turning on that multiply layer on top of everything, but I'm selected on my shape layers so that I can transform them, make them what I want. And with organic shapes, there's really just nothing better than warp. It gives you full control. If I need to augment a shape, I can always just add to it with the exact same color. So if I need to add a little bit more to the head here, I just transform it, kind of push it into place, and if it looks too static, I can always warp it as well. Give it a little bit more distinctive quality. That will help shape the hair behind it as well. Okay, and now behind that layer, I want the hair. And that looks very much like an oval shape as well. So the only problem with having auto select layer on with the multiply on is because we're looking through that layer, it will always want to grab it. So when it does that, I have to go back to my history before I moved it. Maybe turn it off for the time being to select the piece I want to move in and shape. And warp. And the idea is that now, instead of taking the colors directly from the source material, you should have colors that you can mix from readily available from the other shapes you've already made. If you need to go beyond the parameters of your format, you just hit Command minus to zoom out, and you're able to get to the boxes and things outside of that. All right, so now to select that color, I might start with this red. Why does it keep doing that? Or simply mix it. And then from there, I'm going to build with actual polygon shapes for the bangs. I think the bangs are somewhat important. Move them up above so you can see them, and then transform them a little bit. You can duplicate that, transform it, if you're doing kind of multiples of similar shapes like I am here. Okay. Then I just need to extend this shape a little bit beyond. So I'm going to transform it, warp it, drag it into that corner and tuck it up. Okay, now for the rose on her shirt, her tank top. And I'm looking at this color here that I'm selecting and matching it to that there, because the multiply is messing with that. Kind of see how that works. And that might be a fun one just to give a little extra attention to and kind of punch in and out, make it a little wobbly so it doesn't draw too much attention. And it might be one also that I want to put some layer styles on and soften it with an outer glow.